Welcome everyone to start over again. Maybe I'll cut that part out. Welcome everyone. That's what happens when you're on live. My name is Margaret and I am the host of the video podcast series Lifestyle by Design and Not Default. Tonight I have a very special guest. Her name is Diamond Rodriguez and we are going to talk about defying the odds. Diamond, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am happy that you are here. As you know, it's been a challenge, scheduling to actually do this. And even before this, we had a good half an hour of technical difficulties. But we are defying the odds, aren't we?
That's right.
Okay. And we are going through some of that now. I lost video. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I lost the video. But so long as it may come back, but let's just keep going and we'll keep talking. But I don't have the video. I just have your icon.
Okay.
So Diamond, tell me, there you are, you're back. And you're gone again. But here we go. We're going to keep it moving. Tell me, you are a business coach and also a life coach. And you are also doing a challenge, a 60-day challenge with Ana and Diamond. We're going to talk about that. And you are writing a book called Defying the Odds. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Well, the early part of my career, I did the corporate thing. I was in the corporate world. I was in the corporate tax department in a prominent bank at the time. And I found out that working for someone, being in the corporate world wasn't for me. So I went into business for myself in my early 20s. And I did that for a decade. And then during that time, I was diagnosed with a health condition that progressed into a wheelchair. And what happened from there was, on my quest now to get out of the wheelchair, I spoke to a medical professional and asked him if there were any chances of me getting out of the chair, what can I do to help improve my legs? And he said, there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm not going to get better. And that actually put me on a mission to prove him wrong. So what I did was, that's what I did. I basically defied the odds in the sense where I just spoke to everyone I could, get the tools that I needed to change the mindset. Because when you're told you can do something and you're told that you can't do something, it's up to you to decide what direction you want to go. So that's what I basically did. And through that process, because I've already coached people before, helping them establish their business and dealing with life issues and problem solving, I kind of did that for myself. And now I'm coming back with more tools and more tricks of the trade to help people kind of defy their odds. So now my coaching, I have to say, is at a next level.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to find out a little bit more, because to have a condition about your mind, what was going through your mindset at the time, because that is phenomenal. You know, a lot of people would give up. A lot of people would listen to those professionals who, you know, kind of like, who said, you can't do this. And they would say, okay, I can't do that. And I want to know what was going through your mind. Can you take me into your mind when he said you can't do it, and there was something in you that said, I can do this? Tell me about when you drew the line in the sand and you said, I'm moving forward and I'm not looking back and I am going to do what it takes. Tell me about that.
Well, I have to tell you, being an optimist that I am, that's what basically helped in a sense, because a lot of people around me who cared about me, who knew my situation, everyone, because they care so much, has their opinion of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And, you know, some were saying, take the drugs that they tell you. I mean, at that time, it's evolved now. At that time, the medication was 10 to 12 different pills a day. And
Wow.
they were all making me sicker. I mean, one of them actually made me delirious, and everyone's like, just take the pills, but it wasn't helping. And I was a bit discouraged, but I just, you know what, I just Margaret, what I knew, this was not going to be my story. It's like I made a decision that it was not going to be my story. So the year that I regrettably had to give up my business, because that was a performance-based business, I had to go to people's homes and meet with people in conference rooms, and it was a very physically active business that I no longer can keep up with. So I had to withdraw from that, and I had to focus on myself. And when I did that, I knew that something had to change, or I just wasn't going to make it. Because when you look at what the alternatives that you have, and the only alternative you have is to fight to get better or just get ready for an early grave, and you kind of want to focus on getting better. And that year that I gave up my business, I said, you know what, I'm going to walk again. I made that decision. I was going to walk again, and then I worked to that end. So I had to make that decision and be firm with it. And I was completely honest with myself with that decision, because if you're not, then you're just delusional. You have to know what it is that you want when you make a decision, and be committed to maintain and follow through that decision every day to make it happen. And fortunately, it worked out, because I wasn't going to quit. That's one thing I knew for sure. I wasn't going to quit, because I needed to change my story. Can you hear me?
No, the audio went out a bit there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. If you can hear me,
yes,
let me know that you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, so the last that I heard, you were saying that you weren't going to quit. You made the decision and you just weren't going to quit?
Right, because the alternative was, if I gave up, was just preparing myself for an early grave, because what else was there? It was just going to get worse. So
okay, okay,
that was it.
Okay, sorry about that. How long ago was it that you were diagnosed, and how long did it take you to start walking again?
Okay, so I started experiencing symptoms in 1996. And for 2 years, I was in denial. Like I thought it was just going to go away, and things started to get progressively worse. And I finally got diagnosed in 1998, excuse me. And from 1998 to 2000, it progressed very rapidly. I mean, I was bedridden before I got the wheelchair. I couldn't even walk around. And 2000, I was in the wheelchair. And from 2000 to 2009, that's when 2009 is when I progressed out of the wheelchair and started using other walking apparatuses like crutches and walkers, and I couldn't really use a cane. I would use a double cane because it was on both sides that I had the support. So in that time frame, I was using a lot of the walking devices. And then from 2009 till present, I just looked for other means to, honestly, I was maintaining. And then when I had my daughter, and there was a bit of a setback when I gave birth, because I got sick again. That's when I was like, this is it. I'm no longer maintaining and managing this pain. I want to get rid of it. So I became even more aggressive in terms of my practices and who I spoke to, and gaining the knowledge and the experience to get myself there. And Defy the Odds comes in with the mindset, because people sometimes, when you're experiencing the situation, you can't see beyond it. And I couldn't see beyond it. So I had to find unique ways to move past where I mentally was, so that I can achieve what I didn't have yet.
That is amazing. I have to commend you on that, because, stories like yours are rare. I feel like I know a lot more people who would give up. I mean, I know people who would give up, who have their physical capacities, and they would give up on simple things. So I think that's an amazing thing. What kept you going? I know you said, it was either an early grave or you had to fight, but were there days So I guess my question is twofold. Were there days that you wanted to give up and you were just like, I'm not going to do this anymore? And if so, what kept you going?
Well, there weren't days that I wanted to give up because I knew what that meant if I did, but there were days that I doubted that I would actually walk again. I didn't know. I mean, there was no proof in front of me that said I would walk again. So I just couldn't look backwards. I just kept looking forward, and I wondered. I wondered if it would happen. And I got to tell you, even though I got out of the chair in 2009, when I gave birth to my daughter in 2012, that's when I said, no matter what, it needs to happen. Because there is no way I'm going to let my daughter grow up without the opportunities of having her run around in the backyard, of playing ball with me, and just doing those things that, the average person does with their child. I didn't want to cheat my daughter for that experience. She would not understand that I had a physical issue. All she'll know is that mommy's not doing this with me. So that was an added incentive. But before my daughter came into around, I've had a lot of fortunate enough to have a lot of great mentors and role models in my life. And there was a gentleman named John Crow at the time who he was shot. He was there was someone who burglarized. He lived in a mansion. They burglarized his home, and he was shot in the head. And his body was paralyzed. Half of his body was paralyzed, and it didn't stop him from swimming. It didn't stop him from doing all the things he normally did before. Stories like that blew my mind, but it's a decision. It's all it is, a decision, because anyone in his situation would have just been happy in the chair, rolled around. He had money, so he could have had any kind of wheelchair he needed, but he didn't let that stop. That didn't let him stop. That didn't stop him from living. And because I was raised in a very Latin traditional household, where the ladies have to be home and they're kind of like protective, that's just the traditional way. I didn't feel like I lived yet. And then to go from that situation and go into a physical situation where it's holding me back, I was just ready to just break out of that cage. Like I wanted to live, and that's the decision I made. But you're right. I look at the people around me in similar situations, and some of them do give up. It's just they don't know what they have their hands on in terms of the power they have to make that change. No one can do it for them.
The audio went out a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Diamond, I commend you. I really do. You are like a serious inspiration, and I am so glad that you are sharing your story. I'm so glad that you decided not to give up on yourself. I'm so happy that you decided to live. You just said that. I decided to live. And you sought people, and you said you had doubt, but you did not let your doubt stop you. And you are walking. And you're running around with your daughter today. That is amazing. That's outstanding.
Yes.
Absolutely outstanding.
Yes.
Can you tell me what it was like for you the first time you took a step?
Well, it was a gradual situation, and I gotta tell you, I count my blessings daily. I am in constant gratitude, and even if sometimes I wake up and I might feel a little pain in my leg, I'm like, you know what? I feel it, but I can walk as I feel it. It's
Amen.
It's something, whereas you look around and some people take things like that for granted. I mean, the simple things of just turning a doorknob, that was hard for me. And so every time I can turn a doorknob and pick up a bag or pick up my daughter, because I couldn't do that even when she was born, it's just something I just smile about, and it brings tears to my eyes.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. And being mindful and paying attention to all the simple things and the things that, we take for granted. They're really big gains. So that's amazing. So tell me about how, can you hear me? Because I lost the audio there, for the video for you. Okay. Can you tell me about how some of the lessons you've learned in this journey you apply to coaching?
Well, yes. The biggest issue people have where they're stuck in a rut is that they can't see, like I was saying before, they can't see beyond their circumstance. And what I've learned is having a sense of self-awareness, teaching people how to have a sense of self-awareness so that they can actually look and explore what is actually holding them back, because it's not life. They can do whatever it is that they want. They can make any decision they want. So when I would sit down with someone, the discussion would be to take a look at their past behaviors, their past thoughts, because sometimes bad habits are just that, a habit, and believing first that it's possible to change would be what I would help the person first do, understand that that is possible, and then we take the steps to get there. And then a level of accountability always plays a part in terms of making sure that the person is on top of what they have to do, and checking in and making sure if they get stuck again, what's holding them back. Is it a past hurt? Is it a self-limiting belief? So all that I have applied to myself and I've learned over the years, and with the peoples and my mentors and people that I dealt with, it's a matter of, I've set aside a formula called MC3A. And we would go through each of that formula, and the first part is the mindset. Then we'll explore the trichotomy of connection. That's the C, the connection, which is the metaphysical, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. And then there would be 3 different techniques in 3 different areas, which the 3 A's are activation, awareness, and acceleration. And with each, we cover the trichotomy of connection in detail, in terms of addressing any limiting beliefs, any stories that are on auto repeat, running in their minds, running their lives, and kind of dissect it and trying to get to the root of the problem. The majority, the reason why a lot of these, therapy situations, for instance, with I was going to say AAA, with AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and programs like that. The reason why they work for the people they are going to work for is they first accept that there's a problem. So if you are running around with a limiting belief about something that happened in your childhood and you don't first identify the problem, you can't fix it. And the powerful thing is, through some techniques with NLP and some other techniques I've learned from Tony Robbins and some other people that's come along my path, I have to tell you, once they recognize the issue, I've actually spoken with many, even friends that have come to me with issues and problems they had in their life. And once I help them identify their power, they're able to let that limiting belief go, or allow it to play, but it totally will disempower that emotion that's dragging them down. So like I said, a lot of it was from my personal experience, because I had to go through some major overhaul in changing my thought patterns so that I can believe in the impossible. But it's also going back to the same thing, because everyone, even though my situation was drastic, everyone's crisis is serious and big to them. It doesn't have to mean that they're in a wheelchair, but the techniques, the MC3A applies to all. It in every area of your life, business, relationships, health and wellness, it applies to all. So it's just a matter of really kind of initially hand-holding, helping them develop the habit of self-diagnosis in the sense of treating those limiting beliefs as they come, so that they have the power to know that they can change that and make that change for themselves.
Okay. Tell me, did you always want to be a coach, or was part of this as a result of your journey, you figured maybe you would use your experience you've learned and the lessons you've learned along the way to help others?
Yes. Well, I've always, even when I was a child, I've always had the passion to contribute and to help others. And it was an easy decision when I was in college in my 20s, and I realized the corporate world, you really have to have a certain mindset to want to push through the politics, and there was no contribution there. There's no helping people there. So it was an easy decision for me to go into business for myself and go into people's lives, helping people problem solve to help them be in a position to start their own business and help them with the challenges in their life and in business that came along the way. That's just a passion I've always had from early on. And I identified that. It even started in my own household because my older brother, God rest his soul, he had passed away. He had some challenges, and that put a big strain on my mother and in my parents. And I've always felt the need to want to help in that situation, and that kind of just grew to whoever was around me, my friends, and then later on to my clients when I had them. So that need to contribute, that as a matter of fact, I'll tell you how powerful that need to contribute is. There was the time when I basically made the decision to stop building my business and focus on my health. I actually became depressed because I couldn't do that anymore. And I moved on to helping my friends and helping them with their situations. But it's that need to contribute for me was always strong and always there.
Okay. Okay. And what a blessing you are, you know. It's not you lived through it. You lived through the experience. So you can say, you know, if I can do this, you can overcome that, you know.
Right.
It's just what you're telling yourself. I'm sure you're an amazing coach. So now tell me, you are going to write a book about your experience. Do you want to share a little bit about your book?
Yes. So basically, I don't want to throw the title out yet because it's still, I'm still dealing with the process of getting it published. But
Okay.
basically, it talks about the formula I mentioned, and it also covers and talks about other key areas, like the part about being honest, and living with integrity with that honesty. There's a chapter on that, because the bottom line is, if you want to fix the problem and you're not real with yourself in every aspect of it, to the point from beginning to end, from realizing that there's a problem, being honest with yourself how badly you want to fix the problem, and actually taking action, then people live. That's how I find people, when they realize they hit their max in terms of reality, they go into delusions. You know, they don't really live in this world. They have their own, something's happening right in front of them. They can make the wrong choice, but no, not them. They won't believe that they actually did that. They'll believe and make a meaning of something else. But that honesty and living with integrity with yourself, that is important, because you can't really build off of lies. And so the book covers that integrity piece, and then it goes into breaking down further in detail the trichotomy of connection between your mind, body, and your soul, at a level where you can understand that there can be troubleshooting in each area. If your physicality is not well, like for instance, if you have a low thyroid, you know, a side effect of a low thyroid can be depression. So even though you may not have a reason to be depressed, clinically you're going to be depressed because that comes with that condition. So it's looking into each of those areas mentally, metaphysically, and I have a big chapter on the metaphysical, because I really do believe wholeheartedly. I mean, as a Christian, of course, but on a serious level, that in order for you to believe beyond your situation, that piece is important. I mean, I don't really have to get into details right now about it, but believing beyond yourself is the only way you can move past yourself when you're trying to overcome something. And then the other parts of the book, I talk about self-worth, because sometimes when people don't believe they're deserving, or they have the guilt complex, or they have all these things about who they are, who they believe they are, that alone can limit them from even believing anything else. And I have some techniques about how to help address that. I mean, one of the ways I can prove you can prove to yourself if there's a self-worth issue is if you walk in a certain restaurant or a certain store or a certain place and you feel like you're not worthy to be there. I mean, that's an indicator right there that you're putting self-worth at a financial, making it correlate financially, because self-worth has nothing to do about money and everything to do with understanding your greatness. And when people associate that with their economic level, then that's when they limit themselves, because if they're in an area where they would consider affluent, they will feel uncomfortable, they would feel inadequate. But that's wrong, because you and how great you are has nothing to do with money. So it covers many of those parts. I have other chapters there as well. But I basically have designed the book to cover pretty much all the common areas that people deal with, because behind the mindset, once the mindset is right, it doesn't matter what part of your life that you're applying this mindset, because it's basically starts from there. It's the foundational thought process that you have when you're tackling your relationships with yourself or a person, or in business, or your health. You have to have that mindset first, and you can apply it to anything.
Yeah. That's powerful. That chapter 2 on self-worth, I'd be curious to, read it. I'll be curious to read the whole book. I'm sure it's going to be great, but you're hitting on some really important topics there, very important. So I look forward to reading your book. So tell me, why is it really important to you to share your story?
Well, because I'm in a position where, because I've coached and helped people over the years, young and old, and I've helped my friends, everyone has something they struggle with. And I feel like if someone, and I look at myself, if someone told me, like I'm very humbled in what I've been able to accomplish with my health, because like you said, not everybody does that. But I look at, and sometimes I ask myself, if I had someone, an older sister or someone who kind of went down that road and turned around and said, "Hey, Donna, you will walk again." I ask myself, how shorter would my journey have been? How different would my path have been? And then I look to the next person on the left of me and the right, and I'm saying, if they're going through a similar struggle, all it takes is someone saying, "Look, I've been there. Hey, it's going to be all right. You're going to make it." How amazing, how impactful would that be to that limiting beliefs that they can't overcome in their mind? I think it just would, that level of awareness would just change the person next to you. And I've seen it. I've actually helped people coming to me crying about their situation, and I share a few words just to enlighten them about their power, and they just stop, and you see the chest poke out, and all it takes is someone being able to see a little bit further than they can, and their life has changed, and they're happy, and they're grateful, and they're living at peace. That helps me sleep at night, knowing that I can do that to help someone. And I've had so many people come in my life, and even though they may not know, they've done that for me. So knowing that that's out there, I know, even if it's not coming from me, that gratifies me, because there are so many people struggling. It doesn't even have to be financial. They really are struggling with whatever limiting beliefs or insecurities they've had with their parents, or being bullied, or whatever the situation would be. And I just want to share what I know to let people know there's hope. And I don't want to just say, "Hey, there's hope." Look, I can show you that there's hope, and I can tell you how you can get that hope.
Wow. You're giving me chills over here. You're giving me chills. So what's on the horizon for you? I know you have a challenge with a mutual friend that we have, Ana. It's a 60-day adventure with Ana and Diamond. Do you want to share some of that with us?
Oh, I'd love to. It's actually like what you said. It's an adventure. We stay away from the word challenge, because it's actually quite different from a regular challenge. We put this program together, and we came across each other through a challenge, actually, the irony, right? We came across each other's path through a challenge, and we basically connected. We were accountability buddies. And you know, she has the package of business strategist. She's very successful in her field. She's a lovely person to be around. I mean, we have this saying that we have in a mastermind that we're in, that when she walks into the room, she automatically raises the standard of the room just by being there, and because she is that awesome. And then when we looked at what her package in terms of what she was doing, because she has a program on getting out of your comfort zone. And with my package of Defying Odds, we realized it just made sense to come together and just create this movement, or this adventure, where people are actually moving out of whatever comfortable state they're in, whether it's if they want to open up their own business, or if they have some kind of limiting beliefs or some story in their mind that's holding them back from living their life to the fullest, then we can help them do that. And this just a thought of all the people out there that would benefit from a program like that. Like she would be tackling in terms of comforts and moving through zones of getting people to go into the uncertainty zone where they're growing and they just don't know what they're going to do next, but they're going in that direction. And with my package of tackling obstacles and all the obstacles that would come when they go from zone to zone, it just made sense to come together. And one of the biggest models she has also is, whatever you do, have fun. So we're doing that with the twist of having fun and just making it that kind of thing, to live life not only to the fullest, but to enjoy the process. It just, like I said, it just kind of came together like music, and it was almost like a disservice if we didn't put it out there, because it just made too much sense. But we're having a ball. We've had a lot of great responses, and people are excited. And it starts January 1st, and you know, we have we're still doing enrollment. I know there's like a discount that's going to end tonight, but yeah, we're excited about the challenge. I mean, not the challenge, the adventure.
How can someone sign up? You said it starts January 1st. So there's still a couple of days. So anyone looking at this video when it gets released,
Yes.
How can they sign up for it?
Well, I'm going to give you a special link just for whoever's listening to this video, so that they can go in and benefit with a discount. I believe it's a 10% discount, and that goes all the way up to the 31st, which I believe is tomorrow. So they can go to that link and get more information, and so they can also register. So they would just have to follow up with that link. But man, they would need to act fast because the discount ends tomorrow.
Okay. So, okay. If you want, you can drop the link in the chat box here.
Okay.
Do you see it? You can do that. And is there a website or an email address that someone could contact you at?
Yes. So the link I'm going to give you is there's two links. There's a link to register, and then there's a link that they can leave their email address to get more information if they'd like. But where they register would give them some information. But if they have any questions, they can leave their link. They can leave their email address in that link, and we will reach out to them.
Okay. But just if, let's say someone's watching this on YouTube, they won't have access to the chat box. Can they email you directly maybe for information and you can send them the link?
Sure, absolutely. I can tell you the email address that we have. I'll tell you right now. I believe it's PR Team 60 Day. PR Team 60 Day. I'm just confirming it because we just got that. 60day@gmail.com. So give me 1 second. Let me just make sure it's right.
Okay.
Because we just changed it. Okay, I do believe that is that PR Team 60 Day.
Okay. So while we're waiting for you to confirm the email address,
Not right now.
I know that that's going to be a fun challenge
Daddy.
because Anna's pretty fun, like you said. I know her personally. So I'm excited, and I've signed up for the challenge, so I'm going to be a part of it.
Right.
And I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Well, we're excited about having you as well.
So it should be a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
I'll definitely be stretching myself because I know with you two combined.
What's that?
I said with you two combined, I'll be a different person.
Oh, 1 second, Marco.
Sure. So as we know, life happens. She's got to take care of her little one there, which is fine.
Ask you. I'm in the middle of the interview.
Technology is so great. You know, it's amazing that I could be at home in my house and she could be at home at her house with her family. And we can share her story. We can have this interview and get this information out. So this is really dynamic. I was just talking here, you know, to the screen, saying that technology is pretty amazing, that, you know, I can be here and you can be home and we're both with our families, but we're still getting the message out, you know, and sharing it and offering value.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, there's
There it is.
the first link is to input the email addresses, and then the second link is the information to register.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So before we go, it is a tradition here at Lifestyle by Design, not default, that you offer 3 action steps to viewers that they can take and implement into their lives right away on how to defy the odds.
Okay. Well, the first one I would say is to write down a personal statement and repeat it daily. And if this personal statement does not move you, then you write one that would move you. And what that basically is going to do is going to get your mindset in the direction where you're focusing on what it is that you want out of life, whether it's a health issue you want to overcome, whether it's some mental struggles that you want to increase your faith and your belief in, whatever the case may be. You write a personal statement and you repeat it daily, at least twice a day. That's the first tip I would give. The next.
Can you give an example? Can you give an
Sure.
example of maybe, you know, for you, for example, what it might say?
So for myself, when I wanted to get out of the wheelchair, I had the faith that, and I'm a Christian, so I'm going to use my Christian example. I said, God loves me too much to leave me in this situation. You know, so I would repeat that daily. And of course, my statement was longer than that, but I'm just keeping it short for an example. And in the morning, I would say, God, he loves me too much to leave me in this situation. He loves me too much to leave me in this chair. He loves me too much to leave me in this chair. And repeating that, after a while, you believe it. I mean, it's almost like you hear things enough time, you kind of just create a habit off of it. So you would repeat it daily like that, and then you would take action on it. It's not just saying it and just believe in it. It's actually taking action and working towards it. So that would be the next action step, I would say. Create a plan to overcome whatever obstacle or odds that you want to overcome. And if you don't know what to do, just take action. It'll start coming to you. Talk to yourself. Get awareness in terms of what it is that you want. And then the answers will come, whether it might come from you, it might come from someone around you, or ask questions. I was not afraid to ask questions because I knew that if I didn't have the information, someone did. So creating that action plan by asking for help or developing it yourself if you know what to do. Because sometimes we know, we just are not taking action. Then that would be the second step. And then the last step is I would explore the self-worth. I would explore where your mindset is, because to understand how you value yourself and getting yourself in a position where you increase your confidence and it equals to your greatness, and understand that your greatness has nothing to do with money, then you can carry out your action plan. You can read your statement daily with a different approach, with a different level, with a different air about yourself, and everything that you're talking about will manifest to you even quicker. Because it's so, with those 3 steps, that alone, you will start to feel a change. And if you don't, you're doing something wrong.
Powerful. Very, very powerful.
Mommy.
Wow. So now we're going to ask you some fun questions.
When I finish my muff.
Oh, we won't keep mommy much longer. We're going to ask her 3 fun questions. So what's your favorite app?
My favorite app, I downloaded a bunch of apps when I was trying to repeat my daily personal statement. So there are like 6 different apps on my phone, and all of them record your goals. And the one that, and I don't remember the name right now, but the one that actually, when you put the alarm in, the screen gets dark and it shows you what that alarm is for, and you can read it. You can actually read your personal statement right on your phone. There are several in any phone. iPhone, I think iPhone has even better apps than I have, but I have the Samsung when I did this. And check out the goal apps and see what works. There's so many different apps. So you want to get one that will pop up, that will remind you to read your personal statement, and that you can read it right on the spot. So you don't even have to look for papers or find where it is, and you can do that. So you can stay on schedule. That's my favorite.
Okay. What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I play with my daughter. I take her out. I do, I'm a big family person. I'm married, and just this past week we went to Florida to visit more family over there, and we went to Disney World. So spending quality time with my family, I would have to say, is my fun.
Okay. And last question, what book has inspired you the most?
Wow. Can I say the Bible?
Yes, of course, of course.
The Bible, because that was my arsenal. Like, if you ever, when I wanted to make my daily statement and I didn't know what to say, I just looked for scriptures, like proof that I'm supposed to be able to walk, because he came to this world not to destroy it, but for us to live abundantly. So I just believe that I'm supposed to be living in abundance. So that was part of my personal statement. So the Bible was a big tool for me. But I have a lot of other books that I can say. Yes, hold on, sweetie, I'm coming. Success Principles by John Cantor, Tony Robbins, a lot of his programs. I mean, I had a lot of books that made. Okay, Julie. They were a lot of books that made a major impact. But the one book I'd have to say is the Bible.
Okay. So there it is. Diamond, I want to thank you very much for sharing your story. And I honor you for honoring your personal power, your belief in God, and for defying the odds. Thank you so much. It was an honor and a privilege to have you here tonight.
I had a great time being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we will say good night to everyone. I hope you've learned something, and remember to use that personal power that you have. You only have one life, and you are way more powerful than you can imagine.
That's
so
right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.